Dave Hodrien, we have you live on the line for Bases News. Now, the important thing is we can't start unless I have a couple of coffee product placement. Oh, is this something do you know anything about this?
It might be the magazine that I write for on a monthly basis.
They let you write for it?
Yeah, amazing. Eh? I know it's been going a number of years and I'm still writing for it to this day, every couple of months.
Have they actually published any of your articles? I mean, people write for these magazines.
Yeah. I mean, in checking the back issues, they are actually in there. My articles actually are in there.
My God. Well, okay, that's enough. That's enough. But the important thing is that this is the creative side of the UFO subject. Gary Hesseltine has got that magazine going, and he's all good power to him.
Yes.
And you're some whippersnapper who has come up with something else. So, Dave Hodrien, tell us all about it.
Sure. Well, many people write books on the subject of UFOs all the time, and I haven't written any books myself, and I do intend to write one. And people keep on asking me, Dave, when are you going to release your first book? But behind the scenes for a number of years, I've been working on something completely different, taking the UFO subject down a completely different angle. I'm an avid board and card gamer. Have been for most of my life. I absolutely love the whole kind of just getting together around a table with family or friends, and especially in this modern age when we've got just visual screens everywhere and everything, it's nice to get away from that and just be direct with people. So I've always loved tabletop gaming. And I decided a number of years ago as a UFO investigator that it'd be great to make a detailed tabletop game based on the UFO subject. Aliens have been used as a source of reference for games for ages. But we're talking about kind of classic sci-fi aliens, laser guns, might be UFOs, flying saucers, that sort of thing. But there's very few games that focus the real, genuine subject and aspects of what's going on with that. And I decided that I would fill that gap, essentially, bringing my interest of tabletop gaming and UFOs together, essentially. Once I decided on that, the concept, this was going back about 4 or 5 years ago. Once I decided on this concept, I then soon came up with the name for the game, and the name I chose for the game was a UFO wave, because it's obviously a term that we use in ufology. So I thought it'd be a real nice, snappy name for it. And I had a choice between taking it down a kind of very serious route, because obviously it's a very serious subject with lots of aspects to it.
Yes, it is very serious, Dave. I'm taking this very seriously indeed.
But also you can take it down a kind of more fun, cartoony route. And I chose that latter route. And I've got quite a bit of a sense of humour. And there is a lot of tongue-in-cheek humour that you can get out of the UFO subject. And I thought that would make the game more accessible. I wanted it to be a game that was suitable for everybody, not just people who had a deep interest in the subject. It was also important to me that it would be a family-friendly game and be suitable for older kids as well as adults to enjoy. I've got a 10-year-old daughter.
Are you going to tell me it's a no sex for British thing?
Well, I mean, let's just say we've kept all X-rated content out of UFO Wave. It's very much suitable for the age rating I put on it was 8+ in the end. So
that's way beyond the average intelligence of a British overall. Anyway.
We went through lots of different versions of the game. I mean, I've kept this in the dark for quite a period of time, and I've been working behind the scenes on it. It's gone through lots of different versions, and I was playtesting those, trying them out, all sorts of different play styles. I had to try out different game mechanics. I wanted something which didn't feel like I'd taken an existing game and just put a UFO skin over it. I didn't want to be accused
that's a big deal. I mean, you could be sued, couldn't you? I mean, the gaming business is a serious business.
There's so many games out there now. There's literally thousands of board and card games out there, and the majority of the public probably only see the ones that reach high street stores, etc. Woolworths and that sort of thing. It's not even around anymore, is it? But you know what I mean. But there's thousands of games out there, and a lot of them are only available online or via Amazon or whatever. Now, so I wanted it to be something new. So I come up with a new mechanic that I think is very, very unusual, potentially even unique. Now, I've played hundreds of card games over the years, as have many of my friends, and not one of us have ever played a game that works in the same way that it works. So I've managed to do that after a number of different versions. I got a number of prototypes done of the game at that point. Now, I also had to work on the artist because I decided to take it down this cartoony route, and there's quite an interesting story behind that. There's some artwork I came across back in my 20s. I was back at university, and I remember this was in the early days of the internet, really. When things were starting to get popular. And I remember finding these images on Google Images. It was just basically some art pieces, lovely quirky cartoon art style. And from his drawings, it was clear that the artist knew a lot about the subject matter. Yeah, he'd drawn all sorts of aspects of the subject, in-depth stuff, and I was like, yeah, this guy really knows his stuff. So this was like ages back, it's decades back. So we're fast forward now until I'm starting to make the game, and as soon as I decided to take it down this fun cartoony route, I think, wouldn't it be great if I could find that guy and get him to do the art for the game? So I went on this bit of a sleuth online to track the guy down because I had no idea who he was, where he was, whether he was still an artist or anything. And I managed, after a long, difficult search online, I came up with one of his images and struck gold with it, had his signature down the bottom. So from that, I was able to track down his website. I found out he's still an active artist in New York. And when I spoke with him, I had a conversation like this. We met on Skype, had a big chat. And I think he was a bit blown away, really, the fact that, 20 years on, this ufologist from the UK wanted to use his art and wanted to work with that. And it was there that I found out that he's had experiences since childhood himself, including abduction experiences, which is why he had a big fascination with the subject and knew a lot about it. And at that point, I was like, he's got to do the art. And I was over the moon when he agreed to do the art for the project. He's never done art for a game before.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's really good research. That's the game working. It's coming together.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought it would be a great selling point for the game if it was drawn by somebody who'd had actual experiences, and also, of course, designed by myself, an actual UFO investigator. So these were, good selling points. So I made a number of prototypes from that point, and I've shipped those out around the world to different reviewers. And I'd like to introduce you to the game now. I've got one of the prototypes right here with me. So this is a UFO Wave, the tactical card game of alien supremacy. And you can see there on the front of the box, we've got all sorts of aspects. So these are the different alien species that you play as in the game. I'll go through what the game includes in just a minute. You can see various different craft. You've got a flying saucer up there, flying triangle, a cigar. In the background, you see the military, and there's a man in black down there. So even from the box straight away, you've got a lot of aspects of the UFO subject. But I have filled this thing to the brim with UFO lore. There's never been a tabletop game come out with this much of the subject inside it, and there are aspects in this game that I know won't have been touched on.
Well, it sounds like Dave Hodrien that since this is a lot of the international UFO things, you might be able to get all the big wigs playing.
That's it.
Game
yeah, I mean,
at Las Vegas and betting huge billions of goddamn dollars on it.
To be fair, you could bet with this. I mean, you can bet with any card.
I'll only charge you 0.05% of all net global revenues for that idea.
Well, for that idea, yeah, you're putting down a patent on that one. So to release the game, I had a choice between making my own company to self-publish the game, or selling the idea to a publisher. But when you go down that latter route, a lot of the time the publisher takes over full ownership, can do what they like with it, essentially. And I didn't want that, because I'm quite proud of what I created here. Yeah. So I wanted to retain control over it fully.
I think that's a wise decision.
Yes. So I came up with a new company called Paradigm Games to release the game, and we've got our own little logo with a grey on and everything. So let me talk about the contents of the box. So essentially, we've got a flip top lid. The final version is actually going to have an even better one. It's going to have a magnetic flip top that completely opens up. But I had to make do with what prototypes I could get, and this is the option that we had for that. So
yeah, I think it's a wise thing not to blow your budget on detail like that.
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah. So in the top we've got the manual, which I've themed like a top secret document, as you can see.
Oh my God, that's a top secret document there.
Now this little chap up here, we've got this little grey guy. That's Bob. Bob is the official mascot for UFO Wave. He's I decided in the early days of the project that I wanted a face for the game, a proper mascot for the game, and it seemed only right that it would be a grey. So I reached out to the artist, and he created for me our mascot, Bob. I've got a plushie made up of Bob's. I got it specially made up, very, very expensive, but I wanted to get
enormous expense.
Yes, I wanted to get him done for a promotional
subject
matter. So this is Bob, the mascot for UFO Wave, and believe it or not, this plushie cost me £150. So when you get them done individually, they cost.
Looks like a she, that one.
So they did a pretty good job of rendering Bob as an actual plushie, and I've had numerous people come to me and say, "Oh, I really want one of those. Can I buy one?" And I'm like, "Well, if the game does well and is successful, we may potentially make plushies to sell in the future, But
it looks like a Christmas toy that the kids will want this year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of people are loving Bob, so that's our mascot. So let's have a look inside the box, and I'll show you what it's made up of. So. Essentially, UFO Wave, you play as an alien species in the game. Says the manual. Let's go back to that a second. So the inside has also been done in typed text, like a top secret document. And you can see there's Bob sort of showing.
Yeah, that definitely looks like a top secret document to me.
I don't think there's any blacked out passages yet, but I could always add those in.
No, you can't have that unless the late Stanton Friedman's in it.
Absolutely, yeah. So I've tried to keep the manual nice and simple to understand. I want this to be accessible to people, including people in the UFO community who may not have played board or card games
even
before.
I can understand it then?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. I would say within half a game of this, anybody can learn to grasp the rules. But let's go over some of what we've got in here. So the flipped up lid with our stacks of cards in there. Just get these out a second. Okay, so there's 3 different decks in UFO Wave called the Species deck, the Scan deck, and the Plan deck. And first of all, we've got our Species deck, the red cards, and these are the different alien species that you play as in the game. So I decided that it'd be good that rather than play as a human, sort of trying to combat UFOs, it'd be great if you came at it as an alien species yourself.
Yes,
and
I think
took on the role of a species.
There's some people say we are an alien species.
Well, exactly, yeah. So these are the 6 alien species that I've decided to include in the game. Obviously, the greys are in there, but we've also got the Nordics there. There's reptilians. We've got hybrids. I've even included hybrids in the game. We've got shadow beings to link in with the paranormal aspect of the contact subject, and mantids. So these are the 6 types.
So are you telling me that Simon Parks is going to be able to play this?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, because of course he's had experiences
in person.
Involving mantids.
He doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've dealt with a number of other cases involving that species type. That's why I included it. These are all species that I say species types, whatever you want to call it. The types of ETs that are reported in real cases. Like I say, I've tried to cover the real subject rather than taking it off down tangents. Okay, so next we've got our scan. So the scan is a line of cards that's laid out on the center of the table. And what it represents is what you can see in the local area from your craft. So you're playing as an alien race. Imagine you're flying around. There's other alien races, your opponents also out there. And you can all see the same things in the area, both on the ground and up in the air. And that's what the scan represents, our green deck here. So I'm going to show you the different card types that are within the scan. So there's 4 different card types that you can come across inside the scan. So first of all, we've got activities. Activities come in a number of different types. There's abduction, and you can see some of the wonderful artwork that's been done by the artists on each of these cards to represent each of the different card types. So these are what you're claiming in the game. Now, the idea of the game is that you're trying to gain something called ET points. It's essentially victory points. You're trying to get more points than your opponent to win the game. And to do that, you claim activities, you perform activities that you find. Next thing you'll find on the scan is humans. Usually, bad groups of humans out to stop you. We've got the military here, and you can see we've even included Area 51 on the artwork there.
Yeah, but that card doesn't exist because Area 51 doesn't exist.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you never saw this. This is not a real card.
We have not seen this.
So what humans do, they sit alongside the activities and they guard the activities. But if you claim an activity off the scan and there's a human next to it, the human will spot you and will start watching you instead, and you'll move the card to sit in front of you. There are a number of different ways that you can get rid of humans that are watching you in the game before the end of the game, but they have different negative effects, usually negative effects, like they might affect your score at the end or reduce your hand size.
You mean there could be people like Andy Roberts and Jenny Randalls and Phil Mantle, those sort of people watching you.
You might find all sorts of things in there.
We're watching you.
Next we've got energy. So energy cards are also found on the scan, and essentially they're imagine pockets of energy in the air that are just there. You can't claim them directly, but if you perform a nearby activity or you lead a nearby human to somebody, then you hoover up the energy that's in the area, and they'll have little effects. Again, some are positive, some are negative. So this is one of the positive ones, constructive, and it allows you to draw an extra plan card, and we'll get to the plan in just a moment. So the last type you'll find are events. This one's cover up. These are special one-off events.
But Dave, there's no such thing as that. We don't. There's nothing happening here. It's been covered up.
Absolutely, you saw nothing. So there's 10 of these in the game, in the base game, and you shuffle in 2 at random. When they come out, they affect all the players of the game at the same time. So and basically when you uncover them, everybody has to do what's on here, and sometimes it can be a good thing and some of them can be more sort of detrimental. It depends on the so that's the scan, and that's laid down in the center of the table. And
does that mean
play the game by
people will be
taking
items of clothing off?
Hopefully not. I don't think that's on it. I mean, you could, if you wanted to play a strip game of Strip UFO Wave. That's entirely up to you what you do behind closed doors. So let's move on to the plan. These are the last deck, the blue deck of cards, and these are the cards that you hold in your hand during a game of UFO Wave, and you use them to affect the game in a variety of ways. Some of the cards affect the scan and do things with the scan line. Other cards affect your opponents and kind of attack them in various ways or defend from them. We've got 2 different card types in the scan. The first of these is powers. There's a number of different power cards. This one's missing time. With the power, you can see down the bottom, we've got 2 different effects. This is a green face and a red face. That's basic level and advanced level. When you play a power by itself on your turn, the basic level takes effect. To play an advanced level, you have to also include and play a craft at the same time. And there's one of the craft types. So you play craft alongside powers to raise them to their advanced state. The other thing that you can do with craft, if you collect 2 of the same type, you can use them to lead a human away who's watching you. So let's say there's a man in black and he's spotted you earlier in the game and he's now in front of you. You could use 2 craft types of the same type to lead him away and essentially discard that card. So that's a brief overview there of the different card types that are inside UFO Wave. Now I've put as much of the UFO subject as I can into this, while keeping things streamlined and easy to understand. That was a prerequisite. The last part that we've got is the playmat, and this one's a big one. This is the sorry, I got that upside down there. Okay, this is the playmat of the game.
Yeah.
There we go. So you can see there the line where the scan cards go down. You've got your scan and plan at the top. And you can see in the background of it, you've got all sorts of alien imagery, symbols and craft and all sorts in there.
Oh, my God.
And this big flying triangle.
Yeah.
Lovely artwork. We've been getting some fantastic feedback on the playmat. Now, the playmat is an optional extra, so it's not required to play the game at all. You can just play it on a normal table. But it's an optional extra, so if you want to buy it with a playmat, you're going to be able to.
Well, I think it needs the playmat.
It looks very swish with the playmat.
I think it needs it. I mean,
it's all dark with the cards and
I think you could not possibly play this game. I mean, you probably do it on a train or something, but without that, it just doesn't have it.
Yeah, it looks lovely on the table. It definitely enhances the gameplay having that there, because
especially with a nice hostess, bringing cocktails and sort of.
Absolutely, yeah. If you're playing it on a classy level, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely get some drinks involved. So I've played so many games of UFO Wave over the last couple of years since designing this final version of it. I've lost count. And I believe that I've created something that's still really fun and really tactical after many, many playthroughs. Every game's different because you never know what cards are going to come out in what order, which events you're going to have. You never know what powers you're going to have at the right time, and you can keep back powers.
So it's not a game where if you really play it a lot, you sort of remember what happened the last time.
Absolutely, it's very different. There's very much tactics involved. You can play as many powers as you like on your turn. So if you've got 3 powers that happen to correspond with one another, you can do that. So one of the powers, warp reality, allows you to switch positions of the cards on the scan. So you could switch to over, potentially leading a human away from that part of the scan, allowing you to take an activity without being spotted. Another example is stealth mode, and that allows you to be invisible to humans on the scan, so you can hide from them and then take an activity without being seen. This sort of thing. There is one positive human. Yeah. I've really tried hard with this, and I'm quite proud of my creation.
I mean, it's very clear. Your head is literally in the game. I mean, you really.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is one type of our humans on there. Now, I decided that it'd be nice to not have all the humans as negative. It'd be nice if there was a positive human in there. And what better thing to put in than UFO believers? So we've got a believers card in there, and this is positive. You actually want to lead these guys to yourself. And whoever's got the most believers during the game, they can take 2 plan cards at the start of their turn and choose which they want, which is a very good advantage to have in the game. So you're going to be fighting to try to get those believers in front of your alien species. So how we're doing this, what's going on is I'm releasing the game via Kickstarter. Now, for those who don't know, Kickstarter is a crowdfunding website, and it allows designers to release new products and essentially gather the money that allows them to make their product. Now,
but there are certain conditions, aren't there? I mean, you've got to. There are provisos with Kickstarter, aren't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Essentially, you choose a campaign date. You choose how long you're going to run the campaign for. During that period, people can essentially back the game. Backing a game is essentially giving a promise, a pledge that you're going to pay for the game at the end of the campaign. At the end of the campaign, if enough backers are down, if we've reached a particular funding goal that we need, then it's been a success. The money's gathered in bulk off everybody, goes to me. I then send that out to the manufacturer. The manufacturer makes all the products, distributes them out around the world. People's
money isn't taken until it actually is going to happen.
That's correct, yes.
It's not as if you just top up a pot and then you say goodbye.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, there is obviously a level of trust in there, but obviously everybody knows, my personal details. Obviously coming out with a new company from scratch, Paradigm Games, there's a level of trust in there because obviously they're paying for something before it's manufactured, but that's the only prerequisite.
So what's your goals? What sort of monies are you talking about here, and what sort of timescales?
Okay, so essentially our campaign is running for 30 days. It's going to run from the 29th of July, exactly a week from today, at midday. It's kicking off at midday on the 29th, and it's going to run until the 28th, or it could be the 27th of August at 9 p.m. That's our campaign.
Okay,
period.
How do people get involved? Where do they find this? Give us links. Give us all the information.
Yes, absolutely. Well, the Kickstarter link itself is quite difficult to read that out now to you. It's quite convoluted. But essentially, you can go to the Kickstarter page. So Kickstarter is at www.kickstarter.com, and in that page, you would once launch occurs, you'll be able to search for UFO Wave in the search bar, and it will come up. We've got our main website.
Well, that's pretty straightforward. I mean, okay, go to Kickstarter, look up UFO Wave, and put your money in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's you can also get access to Kickstarter via the main website for UFO Wave. The main website is at www.ufowavegame.com.
I always drop the W's on these. It just wastes a lot of W time.
Well,
so it's UFO. It's UFO
I
Wave.
Back a second there. UFOWaveGame.com.
UFOWave.com.
No, UFOWaveGame.com.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
UFO Wave.
I couldn't get UFOWave.com. Somebody had already taken it.
Okay.
So that's the website for the game. We've got a Facebook community page called UFO Wave Community, and we've also got a very popular Instagram profile, which is at UFO Wave Game. So any of those methods is a way of getting in touch. On the website, you can subscribe to the website. If you go to the website and subscribe to it there, you'll see various places on the main screen to subscribe to the website. I regularly release blog articles on there with updates and that sort of thing. So the launch will be announced via there as well. So there's going to be lots of ways that we'll keep everybody updated.
Now, you've just said the website. Which website? You said about 4 websites there. So which
UFOWaveGame.com.
Okay, UFOWave.com.
Yeah, that UFO Wave Game. No dashes, no dots. On the main website, you'll find loads of videos of me talking about different aspects of the game, showing we've got full playtest videos people can watch. There's lots and lots of reviews. I've sent out the prototype around the world because I'm very confident in my product. I'm happy for people to see it and view it and review it. We've been getting fantastic reviews in from the USA, from Canada, from the UK, and even from Serbia. So prototypes have been shipped out around the world, and people have been responding with blog articles, with videos on YouTube, and with Instagram posts. You can see all of those are collected in the reviews page on the main website. We've also got a merch store as well. The merch store has not been designed as a money-grabbing thing. I just did it as another way of getting the game.
Well, you're going to have to make money on this to do all this. Now,
absolutely. Yeah.
I actually have got your website up on this.
Yes.
And we'll see if I can get that up for you. Up here, so,
oh, sure. How are you going to share it? Okay.
Yeah. There.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. Okay, so yeah, we're at the top of the site there with our main battle logo. And underneath is directly underneath the logo is the main launch video for the game. The artist has done an absolutely superb animated intro video, and there it rocks there. That's the Paradigm Games logo beginning there. And there's a full animated video which has Bob describing aspects of the game and everything in. Oh, you're bringing it up full screen. Okay. I mean, you want to watch this obviously with sound, so it's you'd want to go and see this. There's the commander, Bob's commander talking to him. We've got a hierarchy going on.
I need you
so you can see there with it was a decision between having Bob talk telepathically and having his actual mouth moving. We figured it looked more fun with his mouth moving, but you'll see him speak telepathically later on, and indicated as such. So you can see lots of things going on here. We've got Skywatchers and the Men in Black there. And
yeah, but I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, Dave, you could make this into a kiddies' TV show. I mean, this is fantastic.
Yeah, he's done a real great job of it.
I
mean, I obviously sent him how it wanted to be, and he's put it all together. I'm very proud of the advert.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
It's worth looking at with if you go to the website, you'll see that with the audio. And the second part of that advert goes into the actual game and shows the mechanics and how all the cards work, like what I've just been describing. There's the merch store's on there. So right now there's a full merch store on the website. You can get a t-shirt with with Bob on, or the logo. You can get a mug. You can get cushions. I've got all sorts of stuff around the house with logos on things. And
you got cushions.
Stuff on there. We've got cushions. Yeah.
Are these acrylic cushions? Are these death by cushions, or are they?
No, that's
oh my God! Now, how do those work? Are they washable and they're not going to shrink?
Nice cushion.
Yeah.
No, it's got a zip on there. It's a standard cushion.
I mean, if Ben Emden Jones was asleep on the sofa, would the cushion survive?
Yeah, probably. Just about.
That's a terrible thing for me to say.
I don't know. What would Ben do? Destroy the cushions?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if you were a cushion and you were on the sofa when Ben was sleeping with it, I mean, he's talking at this conference in High Elms Manor right now, or is that tomorrow? But there it is. It's still. There it is, still playing away.
Yeah, okay, there you can see the.
And we do have
scan line there.
Can you hear the audio? Yeah.
Events are one-off incidents which affect all players.
Yeah.
Some of them are pleasant.
It's probably best to see it on the website.
Yeah.
That's on there. There's a merch store on there, and that's just to get the logo out. Essentially,
I mean, who's running the merchandise store? I mean, that's a lot of effort that you're talking about there. It's like
we've gone with a company that cover most of the effort and take most of the profits.
Well, that's fair. That's
so I don't get much. We don't get much out of it, but it's a way of essentially, as I said, it's a way of getting the logo of the game out there.
Well, that's it. That's what it's all about.
I mean, I mean, I treat this game with the same passion as I do my investigative work into the subject. I've never been into the subject of UFOs and investigation for the money. Never have, never will be.
Well, Ben, we all need to live, and this is a fantastic idea, and you're putting a lot of effort into it. I think fair is fair. You're creative work.
I do want to get this out to the world. We're very reasonably priced, very competitive pricing. The different there's different reward levels on the Kickstarter page. Now, at the moment, if you go to the
there
Kickstarter
is the
page,
Kickstarter.
No, that's just that's just saying it's on the Kickstarter. But essentially, the Kickstarter page at the moment has a preview image of the game and a little blurb about it, and that's it. Yeah, because that's the way it works. On launch at midday on the 29th of July, that will bang, it'll turn into a full long page giving all sorts of information about the game. It goes over the reward levels for the game. That's different levels you can back it at. So you can back it just the game by itself. You can back it just the game with the playmat. You can get multiple copies. So if you get multiple copies, there's a bit of a discount for that. And there's also a very special one on there, an expensive one, but it allows you to customize the box and actually put customizable printed messages on the actual box. So those are the different
very
options.
good ideas. This is
we've got the stretch goals as well. So for those who don't know Kickstarter, stretch goals are essentially things that start to unlock after we reach funding goal. So once we release the goal that I've set, and essentially the game is definitely going to be made, from that point onwards, we start to give away nice little freebies to all the backers.
Okay, the bottom line is, what sort of money, what's your target here?
Okay, so for the full amount, we're talking about roughly about £4,000 I'm going to need to make from the Kickstarter. The game by itself is going to cost £21. That's for the base game. The base game with the playmat is £35, and then if you get multiple copies, as I said, there's bits of discounts on that. So we tried to keep things very, very competitively priced. Because as I said, it's my aim to get it out there, not to earn a fortune off it.
There's nothing wrong with earning a fortune. You've got a really good idea. You've got a lot of creative energy there, and this can spin off into children's television and films and stuff like that. And I think you need to keep control on that.
It could be.
This is in all fairness. This is a good idea. You've got thought really hard about this. If I was Alan Sugar, I would say you're not fired.
Well, I
don't know what else he says. What else does he normally say?
I think that's it. I think it's pretty much it. I think it's an interesting way to take the subject down. I don't think, because as I said towards the start of our talk, I don't think, many people release documentaries and books on the subject all the time. And I wanted to, I want to do all that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do something different, and I don't believe there's any other card games really that are properly themed on the real UFO subject.
This is very, very well done, Dave, to be blunt. I think this is a brilliant time with this disclosure thing and the UFO side of things, and it's bringing fun into it, and it's funny, it's quirky, it's in there. You've got really you do wish you a bloody good show with this.
Thank you very much. It'll take up to 6 players. You could essentially buy 2 copies and then play a 12-player game if you wanted. It upscales perfectly on that way. Age 8 to adult, and the time of play usually takes between 20 to 45 minutes, depending on how much you're talking and how well you know the game. If you're very, very tactical, it could take longer than that. But essentially, it's designed as a quick, snappy game, about half an hour's play. And it's very good fun. We've played it.
Well, that would work with a lot of competitors, playing and getting to quarterfinals and so forth. You could run that as a UFOGame day.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And you can, obviously it's quite pocket sized. You can easily take this down the pub and just get it out on the table. We'll be playing in minutes. I've decided to keep it streamlined with the components just cards for that reason. I just wanted it to be nice and straightforward to get out.
So it's not like Monopoly where you got the little car.
No, where you got little fiddly counters and money everywhere and that sort of thing. Yeah, it's a lot more streamlined than that. We've been getting some really good feedback on it. So now what happens is when the Kickstarter launches, all it comes down to is both the gaming community and the UFO community coming together and backing the product. If enough people back it, it will be made. if enough people don't,
well,
back it,
let's get it on. I'm really glad to be
it
able to
won't-
contribute in
yeah.
some small way to giving you some publicity on this. We'll get
Thank you very
this
much.
edited and stamp it out, and get it done tonight if I can. Okay.
Okay, great. That's brilliant, Miles. Thank
Well,
you.
Dave,
Yeah,
this
so
is a brilliant project. Bloody good show.
Thank you very much.
In fact,